At least 13 people have been killed in a nightclub fire in southeast Spain. Rescuers stayed on a lookout for hours after the accident to find those who were unaccounted for after the blaze. Spain's national police confirmed the accident occurred in the Fonda Milagros nightclub, causing the roof to collapse. Now, police investigators were unable to access the site due to the high temperatures and danger of another collapse. The mayor has declared 3 days of mourning for the people who were killed. Flags have also been lowered to half-mast outside the city hall. At least 10 Cuban migrants, including a child, died and 25 others were injured in southern Mexico. The incident happened after a cargo truck ferrying the migrants met with an accident. Now, the accident took place at a highway along the Pacific coast stretch. The highway is a common route taken by migrants who cross into Mexico from Guatemala on their way towards the US. As per the National Migration Institute, the truck was carrying more people than its capacity and the driver fled the scene. While the injured are being monitored in hospital, illegal travel and poorly maintained vehicles have made such incidents a common occurrence. At least 9 people were killed after the roof of a church in Mexico collapsed during a mass. The roof caved in while people were receiving communion at the Santa Cruz Church, and as per the police and rescuers, about 100 people were inside the church, of which 30 got entrapped under the rubble. The state police confirmed that units of National Guard, police and State Civil Defense Office, along with the Red Cross, were at the scene. Now, the death toll is expected to rise as rescuers continue to sift through the rubble to get people out. European Union's foreign policy chief has attended a ceremony to mark Ukraine's Defenders' Day in the capital city of Kiev. The day is marked to honor veterans and fallen members of the Ukrainian armed forces. At the sidelines, Joseph Borrell also held talks with the defense minister and also NGO workers from Ukraine. Keeping the government shut down at the forefront, Borrell called on the United States to reconsider the decision to omit financial support for Ukraine. Washington's legislation dropped provisions on providing aid to Ukraine as part of the budget bill passed by the Congress. US President Joe Biden suggested that Democrats have made a deal with Republicans on support for Ukraine. This after US Congress left aid for Kiev out of a stopgap government spending bill that averted a shutdown. At a press conference, President Joe Biden questioned whether he can trust Republican Speaker of the House of Representatives Kevin McCarthy in future deals. Biden also lambasted Republicans for holding up government spending talks and said that he was, quote-unquote, sick and tired of the brinkmanship. This comes after a partial shutdown of the federal government was narrowly averted. Former US President Donald Trump organized a rally in Iowa where he called every indictment a quote-unquote badge of honor. He added that he is being indicted because the Democrats don't want to face him as an opposition face in the 2024 presidential poll run. Now, the remarks came a day ahead of the opening of a New York civil trial against Trump. He is being faced with allegations for over and undervaluing his properties to secure business loans and avoid taxes. Trump, the frontrunner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, has denied any wrongdoing and called the case a political witch hunt. A United Nations mission arrived in Nagorno-Karabakh after a mass exodus of ethnic Armenians began from the region. The said mission is the global body's first access to the region in about 30 long years. Armenia has asked the International Court of Justice for the withdrawal of Azerbaijani troops from civilian establishments. Earlier this year, the World Court ordered Azerbaijan to ensure free movement of a UN mission in the Latin corridor. In fact, as per authorities, the process of moving people who wish to relocate from Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia is ending. At least 100,000 refugees have hit base in Armenia since Azerbaijan's military operation in Nagorno-Karabakh region. The UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, released footages of people that showed the refugees waiting for buses. As per the agency, the highest numbers arrived in the Sunik region of southern Armenia. After the Azerbaijani offensive in Nagorno-Karabakh, around 120,000 people began a mass exodus towards Armenia. Despite Azerbaijan's promises of safety, many of these people fear persecution and ethnic cleansing. Nagorno-Karabakh is internationally recognized as part of Azerbaijan, but is populated mainly by Armenian Christians. At least that was the case. The departure of Armenian families was blighted by an explosion at a fuel depot that killed about 170 people in this very week. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is faced with allegations of crushing free speech in the country. This after the billionaire Elon Musk called out Trudeau on the social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. The row comes following Canada's new rule that makes it compulsory for online streaming services to register for regulation. Online streaming services that operate in Canada and earn about $10 million or more annually need to register with the government. Under the said regulation, Ottawa has also demanded information regarding the content and subscription of certain streaming services. As Poland heads to polls, thousands gathered in Warsaw for a march led by former European Council President Donald Tusk. With 1 million people in attendance, this rally is so far the biggest ever in the Polish capital. The protests are fueled by Poland's rising living cost and concern over an erosion of democratic checks and balances. Vowing to form a strong coalition, the Polish opposition leader is eyeing to improve relations with the European Union. It has been a week since tensions flared up in the Balkans again. Now a mass build-up has been reported at the border between Kosovo and Serbia. This includes deployment of anti-aircraft systems and heavy artillery. Countries including Germany have asked Serbia to reduce the troops at the border. The development comes at the heels of NATO's wish to increase influence in the region. Dylan Weil, a NATO spokesperson, has said that 600 British soldiers will be deployed in Kosovo to reinforce NATO's presence. Turkey has carried out a number of airstrikes on Kurdish rebels in northern Iraq. The attacks come hours after a Kurdish rebel group took responsibility of a suicide bombing outside Turkish parliament. Now, Turkey's government has said that 20 targets were destroyed and many from the banned PKK rebel group have been neutralized. Turkey's defense ministry said that the airstrikes targeted caves, depots and bunkers used by the Kurdish Workers' Party. The Kurdistan Workers' Party, also known as the PKK, is considered a terror group in Turkey, the EU, United Kingdom and the United States. Iraqi forces clashed with protesters who took to the streets in Baghdad. The protesters came out to mark the 4th anniversary of the October protests that first erupted in 2019. People held Iraqi flags and set fire to trash while calling for quote-unquote a revolution until their demands are completely met. In October 2019, protests broke out against then Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi's government. Now, demonstrators alleged the political system of being profoundly corrupt and held it responsible for laddering poverty. They demanded an overhaul of the then political system. In the horrific 2019 clashes, over 560 people lost their lives, while the numbers mostly constituted unarmed protesters. Some members of the Iraqi security forces were also killed. Now, India today marked the 154th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. To commemorate the day, the Indian President Draupadi Murmu and the Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid floral tributes to Gandhi at the Rajghat in the national capital. The Prime Minister also led tribute for Gandhi on his social media platform X. He called Mahatma Gandhi's impact a global one and wrote that his ideas motivate humankind towards compassion. While hailing Gandhi's idea of non-violence, leaders from across India convened to pay respects to the father of the nation. India's Manipur is in news again after a fresh wave of violence erupted over the death of 2 teenagers. The Central Bureau of Investigation arrested 4 people in cases related to violence in Manipur. As per officials, 2 men and 2 women have been arrested in connection to the death of the 2 students. The state's Chief Minister Biren Singh praised the swift action of investigation agencies, and the agency took over the probe of these cases, which were earlier registered by state police on the complaints of parents of the minor victims. Meanwhile, the Chief Minister has also appealed to the people of Manipur to remain calm and maintain law and order. Japan's business sentiment improved in the July-September quarter. Central Bank survey suggests that the Japanese economy is withering headwinds from slowing global growth for now. Now, the survey showed that big firms expect to increase capital expenditure by about 13.6% in the current fiscal year, ending in March of 2024. Companies also retained their robust spending plans and faced a tight labor market, suggesting that stimulus conditions could fall into place. The US dollar kicked off the last quarter of the year on the front foot as the prospect of higher for longer US rates provided solid support, pushing the yen to an 11-month low. The yen slid to a roughly 11-month low of 149.74 per dollar as the Japanese currency continued its slow but steady decline towards the 150 mark. However, the rest of the region's equity markets were mixed, with Australia's oil and resource shares hurt by the decline in crude prices last week.